In this video, you will learn about a topic called interest. Now, interest, by definition, is the amount of money paid for the use of money. So, for example, let's say your friend Leah wants to borrow $5 for school lunch. Leah says she will pay you $6 tomorrow if you let her borrow your $5 today. All right, the extra $1 that she is going to pay you is called interest. So she is paying you to let her borrow your money, which is a good deal for you. You're making $1, but it's not necessarily a good deal for the person that's borrowing the money. But this idea is called interest. All right, you're borrowing money and paying back later, and that paying back later, when you pay more, that's called interest. All right, so there's different types of interest. You have what's called a simple interest, and then you have also compound interest. Simple interest is at the end of a specified period of time, the borrower will pay the entire loan plus the interest due in a single payment. So the key here is going to be the single payment. All right, whereas compound interest is calculated at different set intervals. All right, so it's calculated at set intervals on the sum of the principal and any previous interest earned. All right, so you're going to make payments or earn interest as time goes on over set intervals instead of just in one payment. All right, so for example, with simple interest, we have a formula to calculate how much interest that someone owes you or how much interest you owe someone else. And that formula is interest equals P, which is principal, times R, which is the rate, times T, which is time. All right, so principal, by definition, is the amount that is borrowed. All right, so in the example with Leah, the amount borrowed is $5, so that would be your principal. The rate is an annual rate of interest. All right, and then the time is going to be in years. So example 1, find the simple interest earned from a $5,000 investment at 6% interest after 2 years. So you're investing your money at $5,000, you're earning 6% interest, and you're investing for 2 years. So the interest that is earned is found by taking the principal times the rate times the time. So right here, this $5,000, this is the amount that is borrowed, or in this case, the amount that is invested. Okay, same idea. This is your principal. This 6%, this is your interest. All right, that's your interest. And then years, 2 years, that is your time. So if I just simply take 5,000 times, convert this to a decimal, it's 0.06, times that by 2, that's going to give you your answer. So 5,000 times 2 is 10,000. 10,000 times 0.06 would be $600. So that means that if you invested your money, or in other words, let someone borrow your money, and you lent $5,000, you lent it out at 6% interest for 2 years, the interest that you earn is going to be $600, which means you make this much money just by investing your money. All right, so when you let someone borrow your money or when you invest it into something, you earn money because you're letting someone borrow your money. All right, so $600 is your interest. Okay, another example. Let's say that Jaden borrows $4,000 at 9% interest to purchase a car. Calculate the simple interest he would have to pay at the end of the year. So here, Jaden is borrowing money. So he's borrowing $4,000, and that's going to be the principal. That's the amount that is borrowed. Okay, at 9% interest. 9%, okay, that is your interest, and it says it right there. So 9% is your interest. And then your this borrowing of money is for a year. All right, how much would you have to pay at the end of the year? So it's 1 year, and that's going to be his time. So I take the $4,000, multiply it by 9%, or times 0.09, and multiply by 1 because 1 year. And when I do that, I get $360. So notice that Jaden would have to pay $360 extra at the end of the year because he's borrowing $4,000 at 9% interest. All right, so it's very important to understand how interest works just in everyday life, because if you're investing money, you can be making a decent amount just by letting someone borrow your money, by investing it into something. Whereas on the other end, if you're borrowing money, you may have to pay a lot extra in interest. So because you're borrowing money, you could be making more payments than what you initially borrowed. All right, so it's good to be aware of the effects of interest on different purchases that you make or on different investments that you do. Okay, so this would be simple interest. So you're making one payment at the end of the year, or at the end of a given time period. Okay, that is different than compound interest. With compound interest, you're making payments, or payments are being made within a certain number of months or weeks. And here are some terms you should be aware of. All right, so if your interest is what we say compounding monthly, that means that you are making payments monthly, or payments are being made to you monthly. So if it's compounded monthly, that means you are being paid every month, and so that means within 1 year there will be 12 payments, right? There's 12 months in a year, so 12 payments. If it is compounded quarterly, okay, that would mean 1/4 of the year. So every 1/4 of the year, there's 12 months in a year. So 1/4 of 12 is 3. So that means every 3 months, then a payment will be made, and there will be 4 quarters in a year. So there will be 4 payments during the year. Next, we have the term semi-annually. Semi-annually means 1/2, so half a year. So that means every 6 months, payments will be made. So there would be 2 payments per year. And then the term annually means every year. So if it compounds annually, it compounds every year. So that means payments will be made once every year. All right, so let's look at an example with compound interest. Here it says Sonia invested $10,000 at 8% interest for 1 year. How much interest did she earn if it compounds quarterly? So to do this, it is helpful to create a table where in this column over here we have the period, so it's quarterly, so we have 4 periods within the year. And then we have principal, interest, and then the new principal amount in this column. And what we're doing is we're basically taking the interest, or simple interest, for each period and then adding that to the initial principal. And then starting again with the second quarter with the principal plus that interest earned within that quarter. So for example, we have the $10,000 as our principal. So the interest is found by taking the principal times rate times time. So we take 10,000 times 8% times time, and for one period is 1/4 of a year, right? It's compounded quarterly. So the time for period 1 is going to be 1/4. So principal times rate times time. I do 10,000 times 0.08 times the time is 1/4, and when I do that, the interest earned is $200. So now at the end of this first period, at the end of the first quarter, I have $10,000 plus the interest earned, which was 200. So 10,000 plus 200 is 10,200. So now for my second quarter, when the second quarter begins, I now have this amount of $10,200. So this is my principal when I go into quarter 2. And I do the same thing again to calculate the interest. I do principal times rate times time. $10,200 times the rate, which is 0.08, and the time again is 1/4 of a year. So when I multiply those together, I get $204 for the interest. So now at the end of quarter 2, I have the $10,200 plus $204 earned in interest. So add those together and I get $10,404. So this just repeats over and over again. So for period 3, so the beginning of quarter 3, my new principal is $10,404. So now to calculate the interest earned within quarter 3, I take the principal times rate times time. So 10,404 times 0.08 times time, which is 1/4 of a year. When I multiply that together, the interest earned is $208.08. So the new principal is found by taking the initial principal at the beginning of quarter 3, so $10,404, add that with the interest earned, which is $208, and that gives me $10,612.08. So now going into quarter 4, this principal is my beginning balance. So that would be $10,612.08 right here. To find the interest earned within quarter 4, I take the principal times the rate, which is 0.08, multiply that by the time, which is 1/4, and that equals $212.24. So by the end of quarter 4, I now have the $10,612.08, add that with the $212.24, and that gives me my total, which is $10,824.32. So the interest earned within this time period we can find because we started with $10,000, all right, and now we have $10,824.32. So if I subtract the beginning principal from the ending principal, that gives you the amount that you earned. So if I subtract those two numbers, I find that Sonia earned $824.32 in interest. Now notice that this number is bigger than if I were to find the simple interest of $10,000. So this is compounded interest because each quarter or each time period, the principal is compounding. All right, but if I did simple interest, I would just simply do I equals PRT, and we would do the 10,000 times the rate, which is 0.08, times that by the time, which is 1 year. So 10,000 times 0.08 would be $800. So this is with simple interest, you would earn $800. With compound interest, Sonia earned $824. So compound interest over time is going to be a much better type of investment. All right, whereas on the other end, if you are making payments because you borrowed money, compound interest would not be as good for you because you would be paying more in interest. All right, so that is how compound interest works, and we've seen as well how simple interest works. And that concludes our lesson for today. We will see you next time.